Thank you for tuning in to Love in Your Hands with Cynthia Clark, the podcast about how to live life with love, passion, and purpose. This podcast is sponsored by loveinyourhands.com, the place to find long-lasting love through the merging of ancient science, modern technology, and quantum physics. Tired of superficial connections? Go to loveinyourhands.com and start your free Align to Your Soulmate 5-day challenge where you could win a $20 Amazon gift card. Now here's your host, Cynthia Clark, certified palm reading consultant, love compatibility coach, author, and speaker. Hello, everyone. Hi, this is Cynthia Clark, and I'm so excited that you're here today. I just love bringing you information on how you can live life with more love, passion, and purpose. And I have a really special guest that I'm going to be bringing on. And I always like to start out with some palm reading because your palms, of course, tell you all about who you are, and they reveal the innermost secrets of your soul and personality, which is really kind of juicy and fun.
Yikes.
And oftentimes I like to give a little lesson at the same time, but today we're actually going to be looking at our guest's hands. I'm bringing on Michael Tranmer, and I printed out a picture of his hand. So here it is.
That's it.
Yep, there it is. And I want to just go through a couple of things about him, and it's going to be fun because we're going to learn more about him in our interview. But I want to give my insights from a hand perspective of who he is. Which will be really fun.
Nervous over here, but you're smiling and looking like you're looking forward to this. So
it's one of my favorite things to reveal what I find.
I trust you.
Because hands really are, they represent the authentic self, and I like to talk about this. It's the real you. It's the part of you that you can't hide. So it's actually pretty amazing. So the first thing that I noticed about your hands is your fingerprints. You had a lot of what we call the simple arch fingerprints. Okay, so I'm going to kind of draw this in here so people can see. It looks like a gentle rolling hill on the fingerprint. Okay, so it's like a little hill that goes up and back down. When you have two or more of these type of fingerprints on your hands, which by the way are not all that common, they're only about 3% of fingerprints. And I don't have any, by the way. So lots of people actually don't have any of these type of fingerprints. But your fingerprints represent your soul imprint, and they show kind of, you can think of it like the lens that you wear as you go through life. Okay, so your soul imprint is showing that you're in the school of inner peace. Okay, so people in the school of inner peace, what they do for others is they can bring this calming groundedness to others. Okay, so this is something I immediately sense about you through these arch fingerprints. And the school of inner peace,
about right.
Yeah, the school of inner peace is also finding the balance. So it's learning to find balance in your own life and then teaching that balance to others. So
always a work in progress.
So that's a very unusual, unique marker that I saw in your hands. Okay, so yeah, arch fingerprints are quite cool. By the way, there's about 14 different types of fingerprints that can show up in your hands. So the arch is, like I said, about 3%. So the next thing I noticed on your hand is you had a Palmer print called the loop of productivity. Palmer prints are just like fingerprints, and they show up inside the palm surface. And the place where I'm looking is actually right here between the middle finger and the ring finger, and it looks like a little loop. And there's actually about 20 different Palmer prints that can show up on a hand. This one actually shows up on both of your hands, called the loop of productivity. meaning that you like to be busy, you like to have stuff going on, you like to share your common sense with others. It's actually a common sense marker, and it's only on about 20% of hands. So it brings in a little bit more of like a, let's get serious, let's get to work kind of personality. Okay.
All accurate, all accurate.
And by the way, that's something that you and I actually share, because I also have this marker on my hands.
Oh, very cool.
So, and by the way, these fingerprint formations come in before you're born, 5 months before you're born. So this has nothing to do with your personality. It comes in before you even have a personality.
That is interesting too.
Yeah, your soul essence. This is like part of your soul essence.
Wow.
So pretty fun stuff, huh?
This is mind-blowing.
Okay, so the next thing that I noticed about you is that you have a small lower phalange on your, what's called your Apollo finger, which is your ring finger. I'm going to circle this area here so everybody can see. Okay, so that lower section, phalange of Apollo. Okay, now when this section is small, it actually represents that you seek the spotlight for others, not for yourself.
Oh, interesting. Whoops.
It's not a whoops so much as you help bring other people up.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so Apollo is your finger of individuality, and it's also your finger of presentation. So people who have a really big lower zone here, that's actually people who want to be in the spotlight, and they're like, it's all about me, right? For you, it's not all about you. It's all about bringing other people up.
Interesting. I thought it was all about me.
No, it's not all about you.
That's useful.
Yeah, so that's something that I see here in this lower Apollo.
Cool.
And the next thing I want to talk about is your hand shape, which we form our hand shape by the time we're about 6 years old. Okay, so you can think about your personality starting to gel or set by the time you're about 6 years old. And before that, we actually don't have a solid hand shape. Okay, everybody kind of comes in with, you know, big chubby fingers and kind of short squatty palms. They don't form their final shape until they're about 6 years old, when the higher brain states are starting to form. Now, this represents your personality archetype. Okay, by the way, there's I look at 22 different archetypes that can show up in your hands, and they not only impact who you are, but they also show you who you're most compatible with in terms of a soulmate, or even just people who you naturally gravitate towards and get along with. So that's kind of fun. So, okay, so if we look at your hand, you can see that you have short fingers relative to your palm, and you've got a big wide palm. So we would call this a square palm. Okay, so this is the element of earth. Okay, and then the second thing we look at is your fingers. Each finger represents a different aspect of yourself, and you've got a very long little finger, also known as the Mercury finger. And the reason why I can tell this is because the little finger is coming up over the upper phalange. Okay, so if we draw a little line over to your next finger, we always look at the fingers relative to each other. It's coming up over that upper phalange. Okay, you see that?
Yeah.
So we look at the fingers relative to each other. So this combination of Earth and Mercury is called the Hermit archetype.
Interesting.
Okay. So if you're familiar with tarot, the Hermit is the number 9 card in tarot, and it doesn't represent necessarily somebody who's hiding out, but he actually represents somebody who is going towards enlightenment and truth. So you are a seeker of truth. Okay, and that long Mercury finger, which is your finger of communication, shows us that you are somebody who has a big antenna. You have a lot of information that's coming in. and you're
Mhm.
putting it into that earthiness of your earth hand shape. So you're bringing it into the tangible. So somebody who,
Trying.
yeah, there's a practical energy that comes with this hand. And your soulmate match would actually be a water and Apollo type, which we call the dreamer. So
Mm.
it would be somebody with long fingers and a long palm, and they would have a strong ring finger as opposed to your strong little finger. So a dreamer type is really good for you because it's somebody who's wide open to possibilities. They're very
Mhm.
flexible, they're
Mhm.
adaptable, and they can absorb things. So they can absorb the information that you have to share with them.
Cool.
So that would be your best match. But you
I,
do well with all water types because they also are adaptable, flexible, and they harmonize with the earth element.
how do I find a water type out in the street?
Well, you have to look at their hands.
Okay. Big,
And
big,
so
long fingers and long palms.
yeah, you're looking for a long, slender hand is what you're going to be looking
I
for.
thought so. I
Yeah.
thought so.
Okay. So anyway, that's what I see with you.
No, I love that. It's interesting to hear that, and interesting to, hearing that you sort of, I don't know, validate some things that I have discovered about myself, and then maybe battle some others. But either way, it's interesting and all very in align with some things that I've discovered about myself over the last couple of years. So no, that's super cool.
Yeah. So anyway, let's introduce you properly. This is Michael Tranmer, who works with high performing professionals, entrepreneurs, and coaches. His signature program, The Complete Coach, includes a proven system that guides new coaches to get clarity on their message, develop their programs, and land their first clients. So, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm all distracted now. I'm just gonna go out in the street and be staring at all the nice ladies and their hands, and it's gonna be the first thing I ask people. Now, show me your hand.
Yes, and by
Long
the
and
way,
slender. Long and slender.
yeah, this can also represent your best clients,
Oh,
by the
true.
way. So when you think about compatibility with people, this type of energy naturally gravitates towards you and
Hmm.
would make an excellent client.
Hmm. That's interesting. Yeah, it
Yeah,
must just be surround oneself with more of what we are compatible with.
absolutely.
So yeah, just another tool for the belt. This is very cool stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Hands are definitely tools. And once you,
In more ways than one.
yeah, it's just learning a language. It's like a foreign language for
Yeah.
most people.
Yeah, and I love the part that you said that 5 months before you are even born, like these are, was it the imprints on the fingers and the palm? They
Right.
aren't there, but they're programmed in.
Yes, they come in before birth
Wow,
and they're
that's
fully formed at that point. So
hmm,
completely unchangeable.
wow, very cool.
Yeah. But your lines and other stuff on your hands, we didn't really get into the lines, but they do change.
Hmm,
So they represent like your free will and how you're actually choosing your life.
hmm. Yeah, working on it every day. We'll leave some of it to a mystery then.
Yes, that would be another conversation.
Cool, love it.
So tell us a little bit about how you got into what you're doing now. How did you
Yeah,
get
for
started?
sure. Yeah, and again, yeah, super happy to be here with you and your listeners. And how did I get to this moment in time on a Wednesday in the middle of the week, speaking with you? It's definitely been a journey. My my career, my background is engineering, so that's where I think we touched on that somewhere in the hand, where I take in the information and make sense of it. So I worked 12 years as an engineer. I'm here in Vancouver, British Columbia, and I specialized in waterfront projects. Hence the wave behind me. I have a reel, and hence how water is a good match for me.
Yes.
Um, Absolutely. And it was good. It was a good career, but it was never exactly how I wanted to be impacting the world. So it's kind of interesting to hear the things that you mentioned in the beginning, because I never really felt like it was a good fit. So it was a long 12 years to be struggling. And it all came to a crashing end, um, when my marriage came to a crashing end as well. I mean, during that whole 12 years we were together, we were married for 6 of it, and neither of us, it's really interesting again to hear what we touched on the beginning here, um, just using the tools to better understand ourselves, because neither of us in the relationship had a good grasp on who we were as individuals. So there were really two incomplete parts trying to come together as one, and we didn't have the best communication, and there were some other challenges, and well, we slowly drifted apart. The ending was really abrupt and really hard, and for someone with a big heart, that hurt. That hurt bad, and that was about 2.5 years ago from the time of this recording. And that was really my rock bottom, and that's where everything that I had been working before towards, even including the career and the relationship and everything we were building, it just all of a sudden came to an end, and I had this blank slate that I had to figure out what to put onto.
Mm, yeah, divorce is so stressful, and just losing your partner. And yeah, I know all about that too. It's definitely a low point, I think, in most people's lives when they go through that.
Yeah, it's unfortunately so common, and it's hard when, I mean, she was driving the bus, it was she who chose to leave. So it was like, yeah, all of a sudden someone is taken out of your world. It's as if they sort of die from your world, but they're doing it out of their own free will, and that really hurts. At the same time, as things progress from there, we both realized that was the best things for both of us, as we went on our journeys to find out what we really wanted to do. And what happened after that, I mean, I had to do a lot of, first thing I had to do was really pick myself up and get off the living room floor that I'd spent a lot of time on. And it was winter in Vancouver when that happened, so I spent a lot of time walking around in the streets and crying it out and trying to figure out what happened, but also what I wanted to do going forward, because I had no longer any ties to the city. I could really do whatever I want. It was a long few months in there, and somewhere along that way, I recognized that I needed some additional help and additional support to figure out what I wanted to create going forward. And that's when I hired a coach of my own, and I started to work with them and get really, number one was to leave the victim complex behind about what had happened to me, and switch that to saying that it had really happened for me, and giving me this opportunity to create a new life and learn from it, and make sure I could do whatever necessary and possible to never get in that same position again. And that was kind of the entrance for me into this coaching world. And since then I've been doing a lot of speaking about it. I'm writing a book about the whole transformation and the transition, and then I started working with clients of my own, and it's definitely been a journey.
Mm. Well, it sounds like a really positive shift
Hmm.
that you made in your life. So tell us a little bit about how you work with people and help people. What are some of the things that you've discovered along the way?
So many things, and it literally is that. It's like all the small things of discovery to turn this world that, especially now at the beginning of the year, where there's so much trauma and so many negative things going on, and so many horrific acts going on, like it can all be very overwhelming, and how to process that, and not turn it into a positive, but how can we find perspectives on things or other people's behaviors, and really understand why they are occurring, and perhaps come from a place of more compassion. But all of that is to bring, and again, come back to what you mentioned about my hand in the beginning. It's how to bring peace to ourselves and peace to those around us. Um, and again, just like this morning, I was on a call with a client, and each week it's a different sort of breakthrough, and it's all just on this awareness of how a lot of it is how we talk to ourselves and how that really impacts our perception of the world and how we really show up and whether or not we show up in a good mood or a bad mood each and every day.
That is so important. I agree with that 100%. So how do we start recognizing those negative influences? Like,
Uh,
is there a trick that we can do?
how to start? How it's. I mean, everything starts with the awareness, and everything starts with becoming aware of yourself and really your energy. And I'm really big on morning routine because I get myself in a good state and I get my blood flowing and I get good thoughts in my head, and I start with gratitude. And then when I go out in the world or I interact online or whatever it may be with someone who is negative, I can feel that energy and you can sense it. And it's really an energetic thing because when you're positive, when you're bliss, when you're love and you're joy, you're vibrating at a higher frequency. When you're coming in with shame and guilt and fear and scarcity, there's this lower frequency of energy. So this took me a long time to visualize and figure out, but I understand it now, and I use my technical background to understand that and really believe in it. But these emotions are at different frequencies, and so when you're at a higher one, you can sense when someone is at a lower one. So what to do? You really have to protect your energy. You can only spend so much time around people with low energy or until you get sucked down to them. And at the
Hmm.
same time, having just gone through the holidays, and perhaps there are some other people in similar situations who went back to friends and family who are in a perpetual state of low energy. That's hard when you are related to these people. But
Hmm.
again, you have to be aware of that, and all you can really do is do whatever makes sense to you to stay at your high energy, to stay positive, to stay in that space of gratitude. And that will really rub off on them and help them pull them up and help them try to operate from your same frequency.
Mm. Yeah, that's really good advice. I actually purged a bunch of relationships
Mm,
myself just over the last few years. I've been changing so much. And I made the conscious decision that I don't want to be around that type of energy uh, pretty much as possible.
mhm,
So it's like, okay, well, who do I want to be friends with? And some
mhm,
people just totally dropped out of my life. It was so interesting. Once I actually made that decision,
mhm.
it was like, wow, they're actually just getting rid of themselves.
Yeah.
It was so funny. I mean, I almost didn't even have to do anything. I just had to make that choice of like, hey, I want to be around positive people who are going to, you know, where we can support each other and lift each other up. And
Mhm.
the ones that weren't doing that, it was like, okay, we're not friends anymore.
Yeah, and this is really hard for people that are going through an awakening or a transformation or higher consciousness, whatever you want to call it. Because for me, it was sort of been dancing in this space for a little over 2 years now. It's a complete shedding of your old identity to some extent. Like I got rid of so many clothes, I got rid of my truck, I got rid of some friends, just like you said. I eventually got rid of the engineering job, and then I've been doing the coaching and the speaking and the writing full time. But it's a complete shedding, and yeah, sometimes that includes people, which is very very hard because these are your people. Perhaps you've grown up with them, or perhaps they've been around for a decade. But it's and I, with me, I've sort of put some gaps between people, and some of them are actually starting to come back into my world now, which is very
Hmm.
interesting because they've been following my journey somewhat silently, and they've started to think a little bit differently themselves, and they've raised their energy, and now we can mesh again. So it's my point is it's normal to be shedding some people, but don't give up on them. They may come back in a little later at the right time.
Yeah, I like that point too. You hold the space
Mm.
for the possibilities
Yes.
of change.
Yes.
So yeah,
Yeah.
it's not like you're rejecting them, or it's like, oh, I hate you, I can't stand you.
Yeah.
You just hold this space that it will come back around, and if it does, great, and if it
Hmm.
doesn't, then it's not meant to be.
Hmm. Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
yeah, but that can be really hard, I think, for people sometimes who, especially if they've been with somebody for a long time and they really have, I mean, they almost identify their who they are with another person.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that can create like a codependency that's not so healthy.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. I mean, for me, I can say that I've spent more time alone over the last 2 years than I've ever had in my life, and it was equally hard because sometimes when you're alone, you are lonely, but sometimes when you're alone, that was by choice, and I was really still processing through what I wanted to do, what I wanted to create. I had a lot of work to do. I had a lot of learning to do to learn to start a business, and now I'm learning how to basically rewrite this manuscript that I put together, and I've been learning how to speak publicly. So there's I really kept myself busy, and it was a productive time. But yeah, at the same time, there was a lot of time alone, and now I'm at the place now where I'm like, okay, I've learned quite a bit. I know how to protect my energy. I'm really excited to get back out and be around a lot more people again, because I believe and I know that I can share and influence them more in when I'm around them and in person, and not just doing a lot of this online stuff that I've been doing over the last little while as well.
Yeah. And it's so great because yeah, you can use that alone time to really learn about who you are and
Hmm.
what are you all about.
Hmm.
So yeah, it can be an incredibly valuable time.
Yeah,
So
yeah, and I feel very fortunate to have that. I've actually discovered a little bit of a singing voice in myself, which I've never been able to express before because there's been people around.
hmm.
But at the same time, I see other people in my world who are in relationships, and as soon as their partner goes out of town for even one night, they're on the phone to me, or they're on their phone to other people, and they're reaching out and trying to be around other people instead of being comfortable and really leaning into that alone time, which perhaps they could benefit from, and pull out the journal and do some thinking, and dig a little deeper on yourself, and really take that time to step back and make sure you are on the right path for what you want to create.
Exactly. So it sounds like you really help people find that balance.
Yeah, so getting back to your question, the way I help people, and I have a couple different ways I'm working right now. I've got one-on-one life and business coaching clients, and then I run a program for new coaches, which is really all business, but there's also some personal development in there. But either way, no matter how I work with people, it really is helping them. It's really an awakening process. It's helping them tap into how they can find the peace with everything they are doing. So we talk about everything. We talk about relationships, we talk about career, we talk about health. And often when someone comes to me and they really want to find that ultimate peace within that their life, or they want to achieve new goals, or they want to do a similar thing that I've done, switch from corporate into the entrepreneurial world. They need that accountability, and they need that set of eyes that are outside of them to make sense of everything, that's all the ideas that are going on in their mind. And I'm really good at helping them get clarity and sort of tune out the noise and pick those steps that they need to walk towards to achieve their goal. But within all of that, it's a constant, like, how can we show up each and every day and um, feel good, right? Feel peace. How can we manage all the challenges that come up each and every day? How can we take a new perspective on that? How can we learn from them? How can we grow from them? How can we continue to get 1% better each and every day? And You know, it's just like going doing a yoga practice, right? You don't go once
Mhm.
and you're good. It's constantly building that awareness muscle each and every week.
Yeah, I just went to a new exercise class last night and basically got my butt kicked.
Perfect.
Was like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm doing this." And I was so sore this morning, and I knew that was going to be the case, but so my husband asked me, he's like, "So are you going to go back? Like, are you just mad at me for making you go?" And I said, "Yeah, I'll go back because I know that it's going to help me,
Yeah.
just be, fit." And it's like exercise is important. And sometimes you got to be pushed by somebody who is in the business.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
again, that's why coaching I feel is so important because people need that kick in the butt.
Mm-hmm.
And you think you can do it on your own? Well, maybe, but
Mm-hmm.
you can do it so much faster and more
Mm.
effectively if you work with somebody else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
Coaches really help collapse time.
yes, so if you're looking for a fast track, coaching is definitely the way to go. So my question to you, since you work with a lot of new coaches and you help
Mm-hmm.
new coaches,
Mm-hmm.
do you feel like anybody can become a coach, or do you feel like it's really not a fit for some people?
I do think anybody can become a coach because really coaching is influencing others and not in a bad way. I mean, you can coach and mentor, whatever you want to call it, someone else as long as you are just one step ahead of them.
Hmm.
You can use your life experience on whatever it is. Maybe you've learned how to knit something absolutely incredible. So you are already one step ahead of someone who wants to learn how to do that, and you can teach them and you can mentor them and you can hold them accountable and you can give them the tips and you can guide them on the way and you can help bring them back on path when they stab their finger with the needle, or they do the wrong thread, whatever it may be. So I believe that we can all, and this is really the knowledge industry, the knowledge business. It's growing to $1 billion a year by 2025, and it's all this new concept of how we can teach and share our wisdom and our knowledge with those around us. And now with the internet and all the technology, just like we are connecting right here, we can do it online, we can do it over Zoom, we can do it on video calls. And
Hmm.
there's but so much knowledge out there. The real transfer of knowledge has changed so much from before, old model, you go to school and then you're kind of set for life.
Hmm.
That doesn't, I mean, that's really how I worked. I went to school and then I worked for 12 years, and I didn't, I learned a few things in there for sure, but I wasn't continually up leveling my knowledge purposefully during that time, compared to these last 2 years where I've just been absorbing so much information, so many new things. I've learned so much about marketing and sales and the actual coaching and how to craft a powerful, meaningful speech and how to write a book, like I was telling you before. So there's no, and that's been one of the best parts about this whole transition for me, has been this awakening to learning again. And it's just so empowering to know that we have, like, you don't get too old, right? There's no too
No.
old. You can always learn something new. So
Yeah.
back to your original question. Yeah, it takes not all coaches are the same. They're not all loud and motivational. People can coach and mentor and guide in many different ways. But as long as you are one step ahead of someone, then absolutely you can help them out. And that's how I help new coaches, because I've done that scary transition from the corporate world to the entrepreneurial world. So I know there's other people out there that want to do the same thing, and I can help them. Yeah, I give them the system and the structure and the steps to do it. But a
Mm,
lot more, I help them with the mindset, get over the fears and doubts that they have in themselves to actually make it happen.
mm. Well, that sounds really great. So how do people reach you, and how do they work with you?
Yeah, for sure. And appreciate it. And again, been so fun to get on here. And it's going to be a little tough to look at the hands on of the ladies in the streets today because everyone's got mitts on. But I'll do my best. best way to reach me, and again, yeah, appreciate the opportunity, is on my website, michaeltranmer.com, or I spend a good amount of time sharing on Instagram at michael.tranmer, Tranmer. And how to work with me? Yeah, like I mentioned, I have a group program where I help. It's called The Complete Coach. It's an 8-week program. It's super fun. It's all online, but we get together every week, and the community that is built is really, really powerful. So that's a group program, and that's the one that's focused for the new coaches. And then on top of that, I've worked with people one-on-one to really help explode whichever area of their life they want to maximize.
Okay, well, that sounds terrific. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. Really appreciate you and all the great work you're doing. And remember, everybody out there, that you can live life with love, passion, and purpose. So get out there and do it. And I can't wait to connect with you again really soon. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Thank you for listening to Love in Your Hands. Please rate, review, and subscribe to show your support. This podcast is sponsored by loveinyourhands.com, the place to find and keep long-lasting love. Start your free Soulmate Connection membership today using the most innovative and accurate algorithm to match you to potential partners, all at loveinyourhands.com.